Welcome to 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars in their Week 6 matchup played October 18, 2015. We're going to go over all the scores and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis. So starting off in the first quarter, on 3rd and 7, Brian Hoyer comes up clutch with a 14-yard touchdown pass to Arian Foster. Novak adds the extra point, and the Texans put the first points on the scoreboard as they led 7-0 over the Jaguars. So that was the score after one. Then on the next possession, the Jags responded. It would lead into the second quarter with about a little less than 10 minutes left before halftime when Blake Bortles hit Allen Robinson for a 2-yard touchdown. Myers added the extra point, and this game was tied at 7. Then, with a little over 6.5 left to play, still in the second quarter, Nick Novak hit a 41-yard field goal, and the Texans were back in the lead by 3 now, with the score Houston 10, Jacksonville 7. So that was the score at halftime. Then in the third quarter, it was scoreless until with just 5 seconds left to play in the third, Blake Bortles hits Julius Thomas for a 29-yard touchdown as the former Bronco finally gets in the end zone. Myers hits the extra point, and the Jaguars were up by 4 with the score Jacksonville 14, Houston 10. So Jacksonville takes the lead for the first time in this game as the third quarter was drawing a close. And now in the fourth quarter, the Texans would go off. 3 straight touchdowns unanswered, and it started off with Brian Hoyer hitting DeAndre Hopkins on third down for a 9-yard touchdown a little under 4 minutes into the fourth. So it was 17-14 after Novak hit the extra point as Houston was back in lead by 3. Then with about 8 minutes left, still in the fourth, Hoyer connected with Hopkins for the second time for his third down touchdown pass of this game, as Hoyer was the definition of clutch. 26 yards on the touchdown pass to Hopkins, and Novak added the extra point, and now the Texans were up by 10 with the score 24-14. Then, just the very next play from scrimmage, Andre Hall intercepts Blake Bortles and returns it 31 yards for the pick six and the touchdown. Novak adds the extra point. It's 31-14 as the Texans now led by 17. And at this point, people just left. They're like, all right, this game's over. Of course, Blake Bortles would respond by driving the Jaguars down the field 80 yards in 12 plays in about 3.5 minutes, as he would throw an 11-yard touchdown pass to Allen Hurns with about 4.5 minutes left to play in this game, making it a 9-point game with the score Houston 31, Jacksonville 20. And the Jaguars defense would actually come up clutch on the next possession for Houston as they forced a 3-and-out. And the Jacksonville's defense is actually underrated. So now Jacksonville would get the ball back with, down by 2 scores with 3.5 minutes left to play, and they would get down into field goal range as they brought the ball all the way down to the Houston 28. But then Bowie intercepts Bortles with another interception, and so now the Texans would take over with just over a minute left. They took a couple of knees in the victory formation, and they would win this game. So the Texans hold on to win 31-20. They win by 11 points. The Texans are 2-4 on the season, 1-2 on the road as they win their first road game this season. Jacksonville now 1-2 at home, 1-5 on the season as they lose to their AFC South rival. These two teams, when they get together, it actually usually is an exciting game. But what a performance by Hoyer as he came up big in this game. Also, Houston's defense played a good game as well as they picked off Bortles 3 times in this game. They also forced him to fumble, although he did recover his own fumble. And in this game, Brian Hoyer, 24 for 36, 293 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He played mistake-free, an excellent game by Hoyer. It's actually the Hoyer that we knew he could be, given the opportunity. Arian Foster, 18 carries for 53 yards. He also had 5 receptions for 59 yards. So he had 112 total yards in the game. He also had 1 receiving touchdown, and that was on that 3rd and 7 there in the first quarter. Of course, DeAndre Hopkins, 10 receptions, 148 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Both of those came on 3rd downs as well, as all 3 of Hoyer's touchdown passes came on 3rd down. So very clutch performance by Hoyer in this game. Cecil Shorts III also had 4 receptions for 63 yards in this game. Hoyer also had 5 yards rushing off of 5 carries. Blake Bortles, 30 for 53, 331 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He was also the leading rusher for the Jaguars with 4 carries for 37 yards. And the thing is, they're asking him to do too much. You throw the ball 53 times, you're going to lose unless your name is Tom Brady, or if maybe you're Peyton Manning in his prime, or maybe Brett Favre or something. I mean, 53, even Brett Favre wouldn't throw it that much. I mean, you kidding me? It's just ridiculous. You can't throw it that many times and expect to win. Walters, 8 receptions for 87 yards. Robinson, 6 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown. And Julius Thomas, 7 receptions for 78 yards and a touchdown. Hearns also had 2 receptions for 30 yards and a touchdown as well. Let me look at the kicking. Myers, 2 for 3 on the extra points. Did not attempt a field goal. Novak, 1 for 1 on the field goals, 4 for 4 on the extra points, as Novak was perfect in this game. And on defense, he had a tie for the leading tackler. Cushing had 9 tackles for the Texans. Pelusny had 9 tackles for the Jaguars. And of course, Clemens had a forced fumble, although they did not recover. Scuda and Bennett combined for a sack for the Jaguars. For the Texans, Bowie had that interception, and it came at the right time too. And Hall had 2 interceptions, one of which was a pick 6, which pretty much sealed the victory for the Texans. Merciless had 2 sacks in this game, and Simon had a sack as well. Look at first downs, 26 for the Jags, 24 for the Texans. On 3rd down, the Texans were 7 of 14, 50% on 3rd down. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, 5 of 15, 33% on 3rd down. Both teams went for it twice on 4th down. The Jaguars actually converted both of their 4th down attempts, and the Texans were 1 for 2 on 4th downs, just 50%. Total net yards, 394 for the Jags, 382 for the Texans. On the ground, 95 net yards for Houston, 83 net yards for Jacksonville on the ground. Through the air, 311 netted by the Jags. Bortles sacked 3 times, losing a total of 20 yards. 287 total yards netted through the air for the Texans. Hoyer was sacked once for a loss of 6 yards. Penalty-wise, a decent amount of penalties in this game. 10 against the Texans, 69 penalty yards. 7 against the Jaguars, 64 penalty yards. Almost the same amount of yards, even though 3 more penalties against the Texans. Both teams did fumble the ball, but they recovered their own fumbles, so they did not lose the fumbles. And so all the turnovers came through the air. And of course, that was only for Jacksonville, as they turned it over 3 times. And the Texans did not turn the ball over at all in this game, as they protected the ball. You protect the ball, you don't turn it over, you force 3 turnovers, you're pretty likely to win, especially when you're 100% in the red zone, and that's what the Texans were, 2 for 2 in the red zone. Jackson was 2 for 3, missed opportunity. They were 66% in the red zone, and it was pretty close on the time of possession, about as close as it can get. 30 minutes and 2 seconds for the Texans. 29 minutes, 58 seconds for the Jaguars. Just a 4-second difference there. But an incredible game by Hoyer, especially on 3rd downs. He was super clutch. Those 3 touchdown passes on 3rd downs, I mean, that's almost unheard of. Excellent performance by Hoyer. I really do believe he gives them the best chance to win right now. Of course, Mallett could be the guy for the future, potentially. He has a lot of, potential, that's for sure. He's got a lot of intangibles. He's got a big arm. But Hoyer, in my opinion, he's right now ready to break out. People dogged on him a lot, but I don't think he's ever gotten a fair shot, really, anywhere he's gone. And even here in Texas, they're not really giving him a fair shot. At least they let him start this game, but part of the reason why they're struggling so much is that they've been playing musical chairs at quarterback. They need to just stick with Hoyer. And I'm not just saying that because he had this game right here. This is what I've thought all along, that if you want to win this year, Hoyer's your guy. If you are willing to not win this year, if you're not looking to go to the playoffs this year, then go with Mallett, because then build towards the future. He could be the guy for next year maybe. Hoyer, though, right now is ready to win with the right team around him, with the right system. He's not going to be necessarily the greatest quarterback, but he certainly can get the job done. I think he's better than some of the other starting quarterbacks around the league. At least, those guys are not necessarily doing good. I would rather have Hoyer as my quarterback than Fitzpatrick, personally. That's just me, though. Let me know what you think, though, in the comment section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Whether you agree or disagree, either way, I am interested in your opinion. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend, and enjoy all the sports.